Good evening. Okay. Thank you, Elder, for the warm welcome. And thank you to the counseling department for New Life Church. On behalf of our team leader, Caroline, I'm here to present a document on realities of retirement for this week for the Adventist men prayer, New Life SDA prayer week. To those who are here and to our online viewers, as you've already been told, my name is Pamela Ochieng, and this evening I'd like to take us through briefly on realities of retirement. This is a topic that resonates well with any person who has started working and who aspires to start work. Because if at all you are going to start work, it means you will also one day have to stop work. And therefore, when we talk about retirement, it is an interest to everybody who aspires to work. And when we talk about work, we refer to different types of work. We have professional jobs, we have businesses, we have farming. Farming is work in itself. And any other thing that somebody does in their lifetime to give them what they require to keep them going on a day-to-day basis to be able to meet their basic needs. So I'd kindly request the ICT team to show the slides that I'm going to be presenting so that as I explain, we'll be having an opportunity to go through what I'm presenting. And to start off with, in this presentation, my book that I've dwelt on and gives me a lot of encouragement when I talk about retirement is found in the book of Ecclesiastes. So we have Ecclesiastes 3. I'll not read the whole place where I'm going to bring my talk, but we have Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1 to 8, and we also have Ecclesiastes 5, verse 18 to 20. I will only take one verse each from those two chapters. And Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1 tells us that to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. Then we have Ecclesiastes 5, verse 18. It tells us, it is good to enjoy your work and accept your lot in life. This is indeed a gift from God. So, chapter 3 talks about basically retirement, because if you're going to start something, it is going to end at some point. Chapter 5 tells us about the importance of work. And therefore, when we look at these two things, automatically, and that's why I've said my topic resonates well with anybody who is working at any point of life and anybody who would like to start work. That is now our youth, because either they are working or they are planning to start work. So I'll first look briefly at the definition of retirement. And retirement simply means an action of withdrawal from your position or occupation that you are holding actively. It can be professional work, as I've said. It can be some form of manual work. It can be some form of business. So manual work, we bring in the farming, we bring in those who are working in, say, the construction industry, we bring in the laborers who work in the field, and any form of manual work, at some point, you will start it, and at some point, either your body will not be able to allow you to continue doing it, or it will just be the right time to stop it. So when we talk about retirement, retirement can be in two ways. It can be gradual, and it can also be immediate. Gradual is whereby, in whatever form of work you are doing, whether it is professional, or it is a business, or it is manual work, you start going easy on what you are doing. So that if I was working, say, 5 days a day, basically from 7 to 7, I start saying I'll work now from 8 to 5, or I'll work from 9 to 4, 5 days a week. Then you move to 3 days a week, and maybe 2 days a week, and gradually you say, now I'm not going to be working. Then there's the immediate aspect of retirement, and this is very popular in the people who are employed in the work environment. So we have organizations, we have the government, we have different types of work where we do, and in this type of work, then you have a retirement timeline. That is, you will be employed by an organization, and at some point, they will retire you, or they will have given you an expectant retirement age, where when you reach that retirement age, then you are expected to exit. So that is now what we call compulsory retirement. Under retirement also we have, where you have a compulsory retirement age, it also goes along with a certain grace period that is normally given for those who would also like to retire on a voluntary basis. So I would give various examples, and basically I'll give the example here back home. For our government, retirement used to be 55 years of age. That was up to around 2009, when it was moved to 60 years. So when it was 55 years of age, you are expected, once you reach 55 years, you exit and go home. Or you exit and now you can do your own things. But the government would actually now stop paying you because you have retired. From 50 years, it is allowed, and even then, it was allowed. If you so wish, you can take early retirement. So from 50 years to 55, it was optional. But when you reach 55, then it is compulsory. So those are the differences between voluntary retirement and compulsory retirement, and under the gradual basis, which is very common with professionals who are doing their own jobs, and those who are in business, and those who are in farming, then it becomes very easy to practice the gradual retirement, which you cannot practice in an organization if you are employed. Then we have, to date, retirement is now based at 60 years, starting from 2009. And the voluntary retirement is still open from 40 years, not 40, 50. So at 50 years of work, if you feel you've worked, say, from age 30, you work up to 50, you decide, I want to exit, the government or any other organization allows you to do that. Now, what I've given is for the Kenyan government. Of course, we have organizations that have different retirement age. For the government, we also have a special group, that is the people living with disability, who, as we all know, or it is also good to know, that they are also usually given tax exemption. So other than tax exemption, they are also allowed to work up to 65 years of age. But that does not mean that from 50 years, they cannot voluntarily retire. So that is just an exception to help them in their circumstances, to ensure that they work up to a certain age where even if they exit, their lives are not going to be very difficult. But they also have the voluntary option. Then we have, as I've said, different organizations have different retirement age. I know the UN, even here in Kenya, they retire people at 65 years of age. And then we have different countries that retire people at different ages. We have America retires people at 67. UK has been retiring people at 67, and they have just extended their retirement age to 69. And that tells us something. It simply means that they are not having young manpower, and therefore they have to push the old people to work for a longer time. The complete opposite of what we have here in Kenya. Then we have professions. The country that retires people the most earliest, and that is a very rich country, is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, you can retire at 47. China retires people at 51. So if you look at those countries, you can see the demography and also, of course, their economy can allow them to retire people early. We are not saying that UK, the economy is bad, but UK, what we are looking at is the population and the age strata. The age strata is they're having very few young people and more older people. And therefore, if they retire people now early, they might miss people to actually take over those jobs. And that is why they have extended the retirement to 69. Then we have retirement for different professions, even here in Kenya. Different professions, again, have different retirements. Like in the judiciary, we have our magistrates, our judges, who retire at between 70 to 74 years of age. Now, 74 is now compulsory. Then we have our lecturers in the public universities who also retire at 70 to 74 years of age, and at 74 it is compulsory. We have the medical fraternity. The medical fraternity for the other cadres other than doctors, that is the nurses, the people who work in the X-ray departments, we have the nutrition department, all those cadres in the medical profession, they follow the regulation for the government retirement, which is at 60 and 65 for PWD. But for the doctors, they have an open extension, and doctors can comfortably work up to 75 years, and even plus, because at some point, they'll also now, the more they read, then they become consultants, and they can consult up to 75, and even plus. Actually, for doctors retire because they choose to. They reach 75, they reach 78, 80, then they say, I'm easing off because basically of my age. And we realize retirement actually goes by age, and biologically, we cannot say that how you are at 30 is how you'll be at 50, is how you'll be at 70. The body ages. And as the body ages, there are various biological aspects of our bodies that may not allow us to do what we used to do at 30. At 50, I may not do it as comfortably and as naturally. And when I reach 60, it gets slightly less. When I reach 70, 80, now we start talking about if I was running, I start jogging. If I was jogging, I start walking. And it reaches a point where we start even saying, crawl if you must. But don't stop moving. And for some, now it reaches a point where you are not even on your 2 legs, you are on your 3 legs. And for others, you are now on 4 legs. That is when you have to be on a wheelchair. So that is a life journey, because health-wise, we change. And as we age, there are different things that change in our bodies, including even the inception of various diseases in our lives. But even if you do not have any disease, your body will naturally age. So because of that, it is important that we all accept that retirement is a reality. And whether I'm working, or I'm going to start working, or I've already retired, like myself, then you realize retirement is a reality, because the minute you start working, at some point, you will have to stop. I thank God that we do not talk about retirement stopping. Yes, there are people who stop working because God has taken their life. They are not able to see that life again. So you did not have the opportunity to work up to a ripe retirement age and go home with your retirement benefits. So when you talk about retirement, our hope, and we all pray for that long life, I believe, is that God will give us good life, that we can work and retire at the appropriate retirement age in whichever work I'm doing. So I'm not going to talk much about the planning for retirement because I know that is in our Wednesday presentation. I'm going to look more basically at, once you've reached retirement and you are already there, what are the realities? And I will briefly just peruse through each one of them. And I've divided this into 4 different categories, 3 actually different categories. We have our finances. We have the mental and psychological aspect, the changes that actually you will have to undergo. And we have, lastly, the physical and our health status. So for finances, one of the things that I always tell people is start planning for your retirement from the day you start working financially. Of course, there are many financial organizations that now have finance pension schemes. Most work environments have pension schemes. So if you're working in an organization where there's no pension scheme, there are those open pension schemes that you can start planning with. If you are in business, or you are a farmer, or you are in the manual space, you still have those organizations. But those who are in employment, there are very few organizations that do not give their employees a retirement offer. So for those who are in employment, it becomes easier because they have somewhere they are starting from. But if you're working in an employment where there isn't, as I'm saying, knowledge is power. We have different pension schemes that you can use to save and start planning for your retirement. As I've said, you don't know when you're going to retire. And the years I've given are not necessarily a must. There are people also who work for 10 years, 5 years, and they decide I've had enough of work, and they retire, and they want to do their things. The years I've talked about are the compulsory ones. But remember, you can retire even after working for 2 years. It all depends on how you have planned for your retirement. So planning is key, and I believe the Wednesday presentation will help us in this. But one thing we'll have to appreciate is in employment or in whatever work we are doing, once you retire, especially in employment, you have to appreciate that the pension that you are going to get is usually between 30 to 40% of what you are earning as a monthly income. And what does that tell us? You have to now learn how to live frugal with what you have. So if you are earning, say, like 200,000 per month, or if you're earning, say, 150,000 per month, then it simply tells you that when you are going home, you will be going home to earn around 40,000, 45,000. So depending on what you are using with your 150,000 when you are working, you had children, you had a family, when now you are retiring, you have to reduce your budget to the 45,000 that you'll be earning. The good thing about retirement is, even as you are working, you have all the leeway to make retirement plans by being able to grow and invest, and not necessarily to have to rely on your little pension when you retire. So it means as we work, we also need to invest. And as we invest, we also need to remember we are investing also for our retirement, when I'll not have to keep on investing. And whatever I'll have invested will just be giving me my returns. Secondly, time is of essence when you retire. And when you retire, I always tell people, is you are just moving from the job that you are doing to go to venture into something else. So if you are working as a teacher and you retire, it does not mean that now you can stop teaching. You can decide to go and teach in your own private school or go and teach in another private school. Or you can decide to use that knowledge that you earned and used during your teaching career to start a totally different venture. You can start business, you can go into farming, you can go traveling as a hobby. You can go doing your hobbies. If you loved music, you can now start being a musician. You can now join a choir that you never joined when you are working. You can, if you are an artist, you can decide now to start painting, something that you never did most of the part of your life because you didn't have time to do it. So retirement does not mean that you stop living. Retirement simply means you are leaving that job that you are doing on a daily basis as an occupation to go into something else that you will do at your own pace and at your own time and at your own pleasure. I normally tell people, when you retire, you start doing what I call self-directed activities. Synonym for SDA, not SDA for our church, but SDA for self-directed activities. So when I retire, you have time to do your self-directed activities. And what does this mean? If I want to farm, I can decide I'm going to farm for one season. The next season I'm resting. If I'm doing some consultancy, if, like for example, I'd give myself as an example, as a counselor, I can decide I want to do counseling on a daily basis. On another day, I can decide I don't want to take clients, and therefore today is going to be my resting day. Or I have a client who I feel today I'm just not in a position to really talk to this client, and therefore what do? I reach out and reschedule that appointment. So you self-direct yourself. That is one of the advantages of retirement. Nobody is going to force you to do anything. That is why I'm saying it is time to do your traveling, time to focus on your hobbies. And even that farming, you'll do it at a pleasurable pace. Because remember, it is not a matter of life and death that I must farm. Secondly, for us as a Kenyan society, financially, we have to start planning on how to realign our monies, our use of monies, especially this aspect of culture, and we have so many people that we take care of, not our family, extended family. When you retire, you have to now reduce and know, where can I come in to help, and where can I come in just to say, I'll pray for you. If you don't do that, you'll find yourself in a quagmire. Lastly, you need to plan for your medical cover. Most jobs give people medical cover, but when you stop working, there'll be no medical cover. You can see the issues we are having with SHA currently. Plan and invest to have a medical cover that can support you when you stop working. Just the same way your employer was supporting you with a medical cover when you are working. So that is very critical. When it comes to the mental and psychological aspect, in the mental and psychological aspect, retirement, as I've said, is due off work. And therefore, you'll find you have so much time. And this time, if you do not plan for it well, it can psychologically bring you down in terms of you can feel hopeless, you can feel you have too much free time, you can feel I'm not well occupied. So to avoid mental issues of being depressed because I don't have anything to do, you have to plan for your time. This is the time to schedule the things that you never had time to do. This is the time to avoid being so idle. Deliberately plan for your day. When you are at work, somebody else or you as a worker, you are planning for your day. Now, why shouldn't you plan for your day when you have retired and now you are self-directing yourself? If you don't plan, you will have the issue of feeling I'm wasting my time. And that can psychologically pull you down. Then you have the reality of not having a job. I was used to waking up to go to work. Now I don't have somewhere to go. Some people even start going back to the same work. And they have to be sent away. By now the supervisor or the people you are working with simply make you see that you are no longer part of them. Because you want to go and tell stories with them, and then they are working. Who has that time? And therefore, if you don't occupy yourself, you will occupy yourself, look for different things to do, look for different company. I'm not saying stop your friendship at work, but look for other friends that you can occupy your time with during the day. Not going to work to look for your friends who are working to have time to occupy. They will not, because then they'll still be having work. And they look at you as an idle person. Secondly, we have time to grow spiritually. You have time to grow spiritually because you have more time. You have more time to even listen in to your online messages or your online preaching or online prayers. And in this age and era today, I can for sure tell you, we have so many online spiritual things that we can join from morning, going all the way to evening. All you need to do is plan and know which one do I want to listen to and which one helps me to grow spiritually. And I'm not saying that you spend the whole day now just looking at the spiritual things. There's time, remember we looked at Ecclesiastes and told us there's time for everything. There's fear of adjustment. Socially, I've already explained that. You'll find you have to change your friendships because people will not move with you at the pace at which you are moving. People will not move with you at the same way. Actually, some people will even look down upon you because you are a retiree. You don't have to stress yourself with that. All you need to do is look for company that makes sense to you. And look for company that resonates with you. Go out and do community work. Join communities that can resonate with you. And as I said, it's also time to do some of the things that you never had time to do. If you loved music and you never had time to join choir, come and practice choir for as long as you want, because you actually now have the time to praise your God and give back to that God that you are not able to do when you are working. So there are so many things we can do, both for God and both for ourselves, that will help us to socially live and adjust into retirement. Then there's one last thing that mentally brings people down: loneliness. Remember I've said if you're not going to have the same friends that you're having, you might just find yourself becoming lonely. And loneliness can be because as you retire, remember your children also are leaving. So you're having an empty nest at home. You are just with you and your spouse, or you and one child. Yet in this house, you are used to having relatives, your children. Then all of a sudden, these people move out. And you are alone, or you are with your spouse. Or if, unfortunately, you find your spouse also maybe has died, you end up finding you are yourself, a widow or a widower. How do you start adjusting to this life of loneliness? Spiritually, God will help you to adjust to that life if you reach out to God. But at the same time, you have to learn how to reconnect. Learn how to reconnect with your family. Learn how to have family get-togethers. If your children, now it's an empty nest, please make a point of bringing your people back home. You can agree once a month or once every week. You have your children coming back home to have maybe dinner or a luncheon together at home or away from home. Ensure you find a way of reconnecting with your family. And lastly, we have the aspect of physical and spiritual and health. Not physical. The physical and health aspect of retirement. I started by saying biologically our bodies change. So I will just quickly go through some of the things that we can do to help our body psychologically. I will not explain much because of time, but as our bodies change physically, it is important that we make sure we have a balanced diet. Start having more of carbohydrates, less of carbohydrates, more of vegetables, and more of proteins, and less of carbohydrates. Do regular exercises. Remember I talked about if you used to run. As age catches up with you, you'll start jogging. You'll start walking. But don't stop movement. When you stop movement, your muscles start becoming tired, weakening, and they grow, they shorten, and therefore you find your mobility becomes less and less. So it is important to always keep active. Even at 80 years, you can walk. Make sure that you do at least 30 minutes of exercise on a daily basis. It can be exercise in the house, it can be exercise outside. More so outside because of the open environment will give you time to resonate, will give you time to see the environment, will give you time to see what is there that you never used to see. Like for example, when I want to exercise, I walk to Arboretum. When I was working, I never had time to go to Arboretum. But today I can go and enjoy the birds, the monkeys, and just enjoy the trees and the grass in an Arboretum that I never used to have time to do. So make sure you have regular exercise. Do weight management. Do not let weight management stress you, but ensure that you eat healthy and engage in physical exercise, and ensure that you have a good diet and a good exercise that will help you to prevent health-related issues. Learn how you can manage your stress. Practice techniques like meditation, yoga, regular relaxation, and once in a year, walk into a counselor's office or a psychologist's office, not that you have any problem, but just to talk to them. It helps. I know people say you only go to a counselor or to a psychologist when you have a problem. That's not true. Just walk in and have a chat with a counselor. You will find it relaxing. Quit things that are not good. Ensure you have regular checkups, and always ensure you stay hydrated. As an elderly person or whatever age, ensure you drink enough water. Between 2 to 3 liters of water on a daily basis. And these are the realities that, as a retiree, if you don't follow them, you will find your life very stressful. So what I've given is just a small glimpse into what retirement realities are. But I hope it will help those who are planning to retire and those who are already retired to relook into how they are managing their retirement. Thank you. I'll finish by praying. Let's believe and pray. Our Father and our God, I thank you for this opportunity you've given us to learn on retirement. And even as we move into our next program, I pray that whatever we have learned is going to be of use to our youth, to our people who are working, the adults, and even for those who are already retired. All this I pray, trusting and believing in Jesus' name. Amen.